Hi, this is your professor again. This is part two of adding details to your section views. So far, in the previous video that I posted, part one, we have reached this part, and I didn't want to keep it too long because it just takes too long to actually upload and whatnot. So in here, our second part is we want to add, let's say, the grade level here. We want to add the pea gravel and even show this PVC, the 4 inches PVC, and anything else you might think about basically will be done the same idea. So let's start with just a detail line, and you can, it's saving now again. That's not a bad reminder. When you get prompted, that means you haven't saved in a while, so instead of losing your work. So in here, I can actually just do like a thick line, and I don't like really seeing the actual line thicknesses and whatnot, in my view here. So here, basically, this shows you the thick lines. Or if you want, you can actually do something like this. I'm just going to do it like right above it here, and draw using thin lines, of course. I have I have to redo this again, so I have to select the thin lines first, and then I'm going to go with a box here, a rectangular, and do something like this, maybe like 2 inches or 3 inches. And then what you can do is you can fill that if you like, and at the same time also you can rotate it. So we can rotate this as far as whatever I want it to be. So here it is, and I just do it like a little bit of an angle. And as you know, we can always, and of course, we can move it up here, and so forth. So whatever actually you think it's easier for you, it doesn't really matter. It's just a line, a grade line. Sometimes, we like to do something, more than what it really worth spending time on. But let's go back to here, and I am going to actually start in that region. Remember, we said the masking region, we did that to cover or mask something, and put it in the background. In here now, I'm going to do a filled region. And the filled region is basically, I'm going to choose what it's, going to be filled. And right now here, if you look in the left side of the property, it says filled region gravel 2. And here are the different hatching or shapes that you like, the diagonal cross hatch and the gravel 2. And your template, you should have a gravel 2. And again, the difference really is just the scale. But right now, what I need to do is actually, I need to create a closed loop. So in here, I'm going to do something maybe like that. In here, maybe something like this. And go up here and here, come back down here and here. And that basically is what you see here. It has to be a closed loop, and then say just check here. And it basically did it for us. And if you've noticed, when you click on it, you can actually make it a little bit larger if I want to do it that way, or smaller, whatever it takes, but typically, yes, it's about this much here. Maybe this guy needs to be a little bit smaller, maybe something like that, and have it that way. And it actually did changed my, I'm going to do it again in here, and I'm going to do a gravel 2 and see if that works. Apparently not. Here it is. Again, I don't know exactly what happened, but I think it's the scale. So I'm going to take my line part in here, and what I'm going to do is I am going to just adjust it that way. Okay, let's not waste more time in here, and I want to now to add that 4 inches PVC. There's many ways you can do that, and maybe there is, I don't know if there is or not, but maybe there is a component and whatnot. But I found actually the best way is to use, the detail item, and it's a circle, and here it is. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to draw a 2-inch radius, which is basically 4 inches here. And if you can't click it immediately on the spot, you can always modify it and enter it. And in here, I'm going to, like I mentioned in my first one here, I have to do the right click part. So this is a 2 inches radius. And here's what I'm trying to do. And of course, right now, it is covered with gravel. So now, on top of it, I'm going to do the masking region again. And I will use the circle, and I will just snap to that circle and snap on here, and that would actually make it, masked. And here it is. So that's the detail that you need to have. And if you want any more details, feel free to ask. And like I said here, before I close this up here, you can actually do this. We didn't have the time to put into the actual trusses. It is not an easy thing because the trusses are not really very good looking. They don't really trim very well, only the top and the bottom lines, but all these components. So again, you can always create them using your lines just like that, and then add a parallel line in here and do it that way, and continue again randomly. These are regular trusses, and if you remember, you should have done that already on your views, on your elevations, and that is your the elevations, the spot slope elevation. And in here, this is a triangle, so we can actually do this guy in here. And I'm going to escape. And I am missing here a part. Again, I'm afraid to click on, there we go. I'm afraid to click on the escape, but like here, okay, now here it is. You can always flip it back and forth if it didn't click and whatnot, and I have it in the setup that it does not actually have a leader line, which is what you see here in the preview, this part here. But again, you can add multiple stuff, and you can use, variety of things to actually change and whatnot. Now, there is one more last thing here that would apply for a lot of the items in the project. If I go back to showing the actual line details in here, and as you can see here, these lines are thick. We can actually change it, but it's not a very simple thing to do. But nonetheless, it can be done under the manage, or you can do it to the object styles. And in here in the object styles, it tells you that what lines for each of these, like for example, the casework for the cabinets and all that, and the foundation. And in here, I am going to see if there is one for the foundation, or maybe the concrete. And change all these details, walls and footings. So let me go to my walls in here, and here's the walls, the common edges. There's number 2 lines, the projection and the cut, and that's fine. I'm not going to change that part. And again, the structural part, the structural foundation, that's what I was looking for. And in here, it says that the cut line is 5, and you see why it's thick here. Now what is 5 and what is 4? Well, they have actually a setting that we can look at, but it's not really also very simple because it changes with the scale that you choose. Right now, I have a scale of 1/8. It should be actually a quarter to match, but nonetheless, simplicity. Just think about it like pin number 1 is 0.1, pin number 2 is thicker, number 3 is thicker, number 4, and so forth. In the plotters that we had, I always set them up as 1 is 0.1, 2 is 0.2, and 3 is 0.3, and so forth. But let me go back to here actually and change it to number 3 and apply. And you can see how this line now became a little bit less. It was too thick, it was too broad, and overwhelming. And now basically it is back to something normal. The same thing for here. Look at the steel, it's too thick. So I'm going to go back to the project styles, and this will be a structural element. And there are, sometimes you have to play with it and whatnot. So here's this the structural beam system. I don't have a beam system, it's just a structural connection columns here, or hidden and whatnot. I have to look at them. Connections in here, anchors, structural fabric, foundations, framing, and here's the girders. See here the projection and the cut. And I don't know if that would actually apply to here or not, but I'm looking, I was hoping to find more like a beam and whatnot. But let me change that, and let me change that, let's say, to number, 3, and see if that actually would do anything. And if it is not, that means it's not the right one. Nope, it's not. And again, you might want to find something here, the web, so maybe here the web is number 4, maybe that's why, so I'm going to change it to, let's say, number 2 and apply. And again, it did not. So, kind of like touch and go, unfortunately. We will find it, somewhere in here in these, structural framing, structural beam systems and whatnot. And you can change it. You don't really have to for this assignment, but it's something to be aware of. And again, without making this video too long, I'm going to stop it. Please let me know, email me and let me know if you need me to post more or explain something more in detail. I know we did not talk much about the cabinets. I'm actually planning to do that, but if you have figured it out, that's wonderful. And it's very, very simple, straightforward.